Hello and welcome to another benefit of the Doud review with my always present co-host, Mr. Cliff Thomas. Cliff, how you doing?
I'm just always lurking like,
Yeah.
that's
You should
me.
do like a slow rise from the bottom. That would be kind of funny. But
Kind
anyway,
of can't really do it with this. I'm sitting on a stool, so it just doesn't
yeah.
work.
No,
Just
you really can't. But today, you know what we you look like kind of that obsessed girlfriend meme from yeah. Anyway, so today we are looking at the Lenovo Legion Tower 5i. This is a desktop computer that I have been using for it's been like 3 or 4 months actually at this point that
yeah,
I've been
this has been
using
your
it.
this has been your main computer, right? Like,
This has been my main computer for a few months now, and we've been kind of putting this off a little bit. And by we, I mean me. I don't know why. I just have like kind of a mental block against trying to review computers because I know I'm not very good at it. But no,
that's how
anyway,
you know it's going to be a good review.
Right, exactly. So we just want to put that out there right out in front. But no, so this is I've been using this as my main computer for like I said, about 3.5 months now. It's really cool. I really dig it, and I like how it looks, how it performs. We're gonna get into all of that.
Yeah, this is
But
like your real first experience with the RGB life, right?
this is hashtag RGB life. This computer, and we're gonna show you Skippy in a little bit. Skippy is ready to go, but there's kind of a good news and bad news when it comes to Skippy in this particular video. So you're just gonna have to bear with me because as we mentioned, I have been using this as my main computer, including while we're streaming this particular
Right.
review right now. So I haven't connected up a different computer just to so I could put the desktop like onto a desktop and shine it and show it off that way. It's actually being used in situ, as the
Wow,
scientists would say.
that's how you know it's good,
Um,
though, because it's
yeah,
working.
because it's working, and
Yeah.
because unlike the Daniel Rubino podcast,
Oh
podcast,
God,
which. Whew, this computer did not do well during that particular
it was not a
broadcast.
happy
But
camper,
anyway,
but that's okay.
it was not. So, but in general, so this is actually, not only has this been my main computer, this has been my first, not my first experience with a desktop, but this has been my first in a very long time experience with a desktop computer because typically I'm living that hashtag laptop life. And so like having a desktop computer was a whole new experience that I just was not ready for. But like in general, let's just kind of run through some specifications here because that's what the spec nerds love
Yeah.
on the
So if
computer.
anytime you hear Lenovo Legion, it's automatically gaming, right? So whether it's a
Yes,
laptop or a
yes,
desktop, and
right, exactly. And this one definitely comes loaded for bear. It's an Intel Core i7 13th generation processor, an Nvidia GeForce RTX 4070 graphics card with 12 gigabytes of onboard GDDR 6X RAM. There's two. It's actually only 16 gigabytes of onboard
so your
memory for
system
like
memory
the
is 16 gigabytes, but it's got dedicated 12 gigabytes
12
for the
gigabytes
RTX
for graphics.
4070, right?
Right. There's a 1 terabyte hard drive in it, which is always nice,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're a PC pack rat like me. And then, and in terms of expansion slots, there's one PCI 4.0 by 16. There's one PCI 3.0 by 4, and then there is a then there's three M2 M.2 slots. Sorry, I'm not
Holy cow!
not very good at
So
these.
you can actually
Yeah,
add internal like mechanical hard drives too. It sounds like, and then you can add up to another 3 M.2 SSDs.
something like that. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. You could, in theory, if you wanted to do
Well, I'm
that.
guessing
The cooling.
the 1 gigabyte or the 1 terabyte that you have is probably an SSD in there.
Probably. If in fact we're gonna dive into the interior of the podcast of the computer.
How much total
Just,
RAM is it capable of? Is it like 64? One?
I don't know what it's expandable to off the top of my head. Actually, now that you've asked that question, thanks a lot. No, and you know what?
You
And
know,
you know what?
that's what I'm here for, to make things awkward.
Let me tell you what's funny about doing computer reviews. Cliff invariably asked me one question that I did not anticipate being asked during every computer review that I just have no capacity to be able to begin to answer. So thanks for that,
Like I
Cliff.
said, it's my job here to make things awkward, during computer reviews.
Exactly.
That's why I'm
I
the co-host.
wonder. I've got the Lenovo page pulled up here. I just wonder if it says how much it's expandable to. I don't see anything skimming, but yeah. So I'm just gonna have to say we're gonna fall back on the blanket term of do your own research. Anyway, no. So when it comes to, and then the cooling system is a Mylar heatsink with 150 watts and a 120 millimeter fan with an RGB light. So there's a lot of cooling here. I noticed early on, and that was actually one thing that I mentioned to Cliff early on, was it seems like every now and then, and I don't hear it now. Yes, I do. Yes, I do hear it now. The fan just has this like little click to it. Like it's almost as if like one of the fans is like one of the fan blades is off balance just a little bit, but it's kind of like a little, like a little. It's hard to describe. It's kind of it kind of sounds like a hard drive running, honestly, like
Well,
an old school.
sometimes like and this might not be the case here, but when a desktop PC is shipped, like the cabling will shift a little bit and it'll rub against one of the cooling fans. That would be my guess as to what that is. Either that or it's the death knell of a hard drive if you actually have a mechanical hard drive.
No, it's not a mechanical hard drive. It's an
Yeah.
SSD for sure.
Yeah.
But it kind of sounds like that a little bit. Like I said, it's a very minor sound. And honestly, it's been doing that sound since like 2 weeks into
Right.
me using this computer. And if you haven't heard it by now on a podcast, you're not going to hear it. So I
I've
mean,
never
that's
heard
how
it.
minor it is. But like when I'm sitting here in a quiet house and everybody's off to school and off to work, and it's just me sitting here, I can definitely hear it. And it actually gets a little annoying after time. But anyway, so why don't we just go ahead and so now Skippy's going to be a double-edged sword here. Because the side of the computer is a glass panel, tempered glass panel, because it is able to show through the RGB lights and everything inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull up Skippy, but then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off that glass panel, and that'll probably help with the reflections and the glare. But let's go ahead and bring on Skippy, and I'm going to have to stand up and probably talk a little bit louder than usual so that you can
so before you go into that, I'm looking at the specs here, right?
Okay.
And so the memory
actually while you're doing that, let me stand up and take off the panel.
Okay, so while you're doing that, so that I know that hardware nerds will want to know, like, it's the type of memory. So it comes with 16 gigabytes of RAM, DDR5 5600. What actually ships in it is 8 gigabyte DIMMs, if you're curious about that. And yet it is
that's a lot better.
Yeah, 1 terabyte SSD. Yeah, you don't have the reflection anymore, huh?
Yeah, look at that.
So 1 terabyte SSD. It's an M.2 Gen 4. Okay, so that's cool. The one thing I'm a little I think is a little interesting is that it's only got a 500 watt power supply, which, I mean, that's fine, but I guess if you ever want to put in a customize it yourself and put in, well, 4070 is a pretty high power drive, but maybe it's just exactly what they need for that high power, for the power drive, the 4070. Well, that's the great thing about a desktop PC, is that if you do want to upgrade it, you can upgrade it yourself.
Right. And you can see, like, from the inside now, and you can see inside the machine now, the cables are all very nicely bundled together.
Gigantic heatsink on the processor.
Yeah, there's a gigantic heatsink on the processor. You can see the gigantic fans back in the
Yep, in the
corner
back.
over here. And then obviously the RGB for the 470, which is always nice.
Nicely clean cable bundle installation there. Yeah.
Yeah, you could totally tell I did not do that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so it's just overall, it's just a really nice setup on the inside, and that's like one of the benefits that you get from not building your own machine and like ordering like a system like this that's all built for you, because you don't need to worry about how the cables
Right.
are going to be bundled, because Lenovo already did all that thinking for you. So now aside from what's inside, there's a lot of stuff that's going around on the outside here. Up on the top, which I can't show you, unfortunately, but the power button is up on top. And you can probably tell by like where Skippy is positioned. Like, here's my hand. If I come over here and show you, like, here's here, you can tell it's way off to the side here. One of the things that I've found a little bit annoying working with a desktop computer is I will come down and sit down on my desk and realize, oh crap, I need to turn on my computer because like, it goes into standby mode and the power button is way over there.
Right.
So now obviously if this is sitting, underneath your desk, that's not nearly as much of a consideration, but
yeah, it sounds like that ergonomically is how it's designed to be, right? To be, I'm surprised that, so it's going into like a deep sleep if you're having to do that though. Yeah. If you're leaving it there for a while, sure.
If it's like if I'm gone for about half an hour or so, it'll do that. So I just have to remember to hit the power button before I sit down. There is no biometrics on here at all. So there's no fingerprint reader. The webcam, I've never set up Windows Hello on it because I don't have a permanent webcam setup. Because like I put my webcam up when it's time to talk and when it's time to do a podcast.
So in the setup that you received, you actually got a webcam with it?
No, I'm talking about my webcam. I'm talking about the
gotcha.
Lumina webcam.
Which we reviewed in another,
which we did review,
episode.
Link in the show notes. But anyway, so yeah, I'm talking about that. Like, I don't have like Windows Hello set up, so
right.
I always have to do
I see what you're saying. Right.
Yeah. So
one thing you can do if you have a USB hub that's anywhere close to you is buy like a USB-A fingerprint reader that'll do biometrics for you.
I've tried those. They kind of works because one of my original I think one of my original gaming laptop that I bought, the MSI laptop, that did not have a fingerprint reader or any type of biometrics on it, and I got a USB fingerprint reader and it worked, I don't know, maybe 20% of the time. It wasn't amazing. By the way, that laptop was one of the first things that I reviewed for this channel. By the way, not for this channel.
The picture of it though. You're like
podcast. Yeah, with the adoring eyes.
Yes.
That was done on the podcast, which is kind of funny. But anyway, so and then up on the top, there's also in addition to the power button, there's also the microphone jack, a headphone jack, and I want to say there's one other little.
So all the I/O and the power, everything that's not like for your, all that's on the top of it there for like the things that you would attach. Interesting.
Yeah, so there's 2 USB ports, USB-A ports on the top of the computer as well, which I obviously don't use. And then that's actually one of my other kind of criticisms about this particular laptop is I'm going to turn it a little bit. I don't know how much you're going to be able to see here just to get a look at the I/O on the back of it. Bear with me here for 1 second while I repo.
Yeah. So one of the things I noticed is that the Wi-Fi that comes with this is Wi-Fi 6E. So if you buy this, you're actually good for I mean, it doesn't have Wi-Fi 7, but you're up to pretty late standards, or most pretty up to date standards, which is good.
So I'm going to do a little bit of a pan with the arm here. So bear with me here for a little bit.
Got 3 open slots on the back there if you want to add expansions.
So in the back there, on the far left side, you can see there's 2 USB-A ports right there, and underneath that is a USB-C port, and then I think there's 2 more USB-A ports underneath that, And then below that, you've got, oh, you know what? I just realized that there's a headphone jack in the back here. I should have been using that all this time. Anyway, you've got the integrated, microphone USB-A jack. Is this 2 more USB? Yeah, I couldn't really see them because of the network cable, but there's 2 more USB-A. So there's a ton of USB-A ports, and there is 1 USB-C port,
well,
which
that's pretty
kind of
old school.
bugs me a little bit.
Yeah,
it kind of bugs me a little bit because like everything you buy these days is USB-C. So I actually have a bridge, RIP bridge. I've got a bridge docking station that I'm using. Actually, you noticed the 1 USB-C port is being used right now, and that connects to a bridge docking port, which I guess I could just kind of like do right there. That's the bridge docking port. You can see how messy my desk is on a regular basis. So yeah, and this is where I plug in my webcam, and what else is plugged in here? There's a couple of other USB-C devices that I use. I have no idea what these cables go to, actually.
Oh yeah, I'm looking.
And there's one in the back. I have no idea what that goes to either.
I'm looking on Lenovo's website just to check out some pictures of it. Yeah, I see the top of it there. You got your power button, the audio, and then 2 USB-As. I didn't realize it's got all the ventilation on the top though too, man.
Yeah, so this is all ventilated up at the top here. It's all ventilated on the front. So if I reposition the camera a little bit, you can kind of see that, there's the 2 gigantic fans, and that's all ventilation on the side there. Let's see if I bring it up here. You could probably see the top a little bit. Kind of. This is all ventilation here as well.
Okay.
So if I tilt it a little bit, maybe you can see a little bit. But I'm kind of, well, I guess I'm not. if I do this, you can see that's all ventilation there. So
yeah, that's that's good. And then you've got those gigantic fans.
Skippy's getting around today, isn't he?
Skippy's got some legs today. So the good thing is though, between all the cooling you've got there and the ventilation, and that should be a relatively quiet PC if it weren't for that little ticking that you've got there.
It is, and in general, it is a very quiet PC. And except for that little ticking, which I actually, you can kind of hear it just a little bit. But I can't get my microphone over there to like.
That's okay.
We'll
take your word for it.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. Like I said, it sounds like an old school like mechanical hard drive spinning, but it's not.
If you want to see how far we've come as far as hardware is concerned, go back and like just find on YouTube like somebody starting up like an 8088, like something from like 1989 or 1990. Between the mechanical hard drives, the power, like hitting the 3.5-inch hard drive where it's like oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Computers in general, man, they're so much quieter than they used to be. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. Especially with like things like the M3 and the Snapdragon X Elite, where you're not even going to need fans.
Right.
Like that's
all solid state stuff. There's just so much less moving parts.
Yeah, and I got to be honest with you, I was really tempted by the M3. Like I've been really tempted to just go ahead and pick one up just because, like, I want to try that. I've never used an M series MacBook before.
So yeah.
My wife actually had one for a while that was issued to her by, it was an M1. I think it was a MacBook M1 MacBook Air.
It's exactly the same laptop my wife uses. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess I could have tried that out, but she doesn't have that anymore. But yeah, that's as close as I came to. Oh no, wait, you know what? For my week and a half that I worked for XDA, they issued me an M1.
That's right.
So yeah.
What I like about Legion hardware in general, I'm actually on a Legion PC right now as well, streaming, but mine's a laptop. But they're gaming PCs can be as flamboyant, as RGB lighting crazy as you want them to be, especially if you spec an order or you build it yourself. It really just depends. But Legion hardware is very like understated and much more like my style. It almost feels like it almost feels like if Apple designed a gaming rig. You know, it's very
Oh my.
minimal and tasteful. And I
It's
was looking at
tasteful. That's the word. That is exactly
yes,
the word. Yeah.
understated, tasteful. That, you know, that's very much my style. So I'm digging the way that looks. And it, you know, it's got that just a little bit of a flash there, especially with the graphics card and then your fans there, but not enough to, you know, it doesn't feel like you're at a rave in 1994.
Right. Right. Exactly. And you know what? The one thing I didn't show off, which I meant to, was, you know, I've got a. Oh, okay. I just unplugged my lights. Sorry. I've got a 3 monitor setup here,
Right.
which I actually had to switch over from HDMI to um
USB-C,
oh
DVI.
no. Yeah, yes. I think. But anyway, yeah. So, no, it's not that. What is it? It's with the. It looks like an
Not
HDMI.
DVI. It's
It
begins
looks
with
like it.
I know what you're
It
talking
looks
about. It looked like HDMI, but it's got that additional little
the
dog hook
notch
in it.
out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
God, what is that? People are screaming at their. Actually, people are unsubscribing.
I know, me
and then
too.
screaming at their.
I should be able to
screen.
I should be able to think of this, but yeah. So I know exactly.
DisplayPort, that's it. That's exactly it. So I actually had to switch over from HDMI cables to DisplayPort cables because this only has one HDMI output, but it has 3 DisplayPort outputs, I believe, which actually you can see.
Well, DisplayPorts
here.
are preferable for me anyway, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd never used them before because I'd never really had. So,
Right.
like, my 3 monitor setup was always the laptop monitor and then 2 other monitors on either side, you know?
Gotcha.
So I never really had to do, and because of that, like most laptops that I used I had a USB-C to HDMI cable. And then I had, you know, most laptops have an HDMI out. So I never had to use anything other than HDMI. So when I first got this computer, I'm like, crap, how am I gonna do this? So in addition, I had to.
It's definitely a transition going. I mean, if you're used to, like, for your desktop setup, if you're used to using you know, like a laptop and then switching to a desktop, there's some considerations. You have to kind of rearrange
Yeah.
everything. I'm sure you went through that, and then everything is something, not always just like an apples to apples transition.
Right, exactly. And because of that, I actually had to get a new monitor mount, like a Visa monitor mount, for the monitor that I was using because, like, I couldn't get, because of the laptop. I used to use that laptop stand that you recommended the
Yes.
one time. I used to use that to, you know, prop up the laptop to get it up to where I needed it to be.
Right.
But this, you know, obviously this monitor didn't have it, so I had to get one that like actually clamps to the table and raises and lowers. And actually, when and if I do switch back to a laptop, that's going to be a 4th monitor for me. That I'm going to be able to raise up above the laptop.
So
But honestly,
this is a gaming desktop. Have you had a chance to game on it at all?
I mean, to the extent that I game, yes.
Right.
You know, I've played some, you know, Flight Simulator and stuff like that, which is, I mean, Flight Simulator is a pretty heavy game.
It's a very heavy game. That's what I was wondering. I remembered you saying that you were going to try Flight Simulator.
Yeah, and it went beautifully. I mean, I don't recall what the frames per second were. I want to say it was approaching 60, but I honestly, it was a while ago.
Right.
You know, it's been September and October. I haven't had a chance to game. I still have Flight Simulator installed, so I could bust it out if I wanted to. But this is a YouTube channel, not a Twitch channel. But no, so like, yeah, I want to say I was pushing right around 60 frames per second. Because I use the Windows gaming tools to figure that out. So that was, you know, so yeah, Flight Simulator worked great. I never did anything like the Call of Duty, or yeah,
I mean, honestly, I feel like Flight Simulator is probably going to tax your system as much as, you know, most
probably
games.
as much as anything. Yeah.
some of the newest titles might be a little more, but yeah, I mean it's a big open world and it's a lot of textures to load, and it's also pulling a lot of stuff down from the web because a lot of it's like cloud processed. I mean, it's putting a lot on your computer. So, and
You
I
know what I
mean,
thought was interesting though?
what's up?
Great America is not in Flight Simulator.
Huh?
My local theme park, when you fly over it, is just like an empty field, which was like really weird.
This just in, folks. Microsoft hates you having fun. That's
Theme
what it
parks.
is.
No,
Theme parks, yeah.
so Disney is there. I
Huh.
have flown over Disney World. Like I've flown over Epcot Center. I believe I actually crashed into the ball once, but that was on purpose. That was on purpose. But yeah, so Disney's there, but Great America is not there. I haven't checked on. I should check on Cedar Point next time I play.
Well, they're continually adding like more highly detailed areas. Like I think they just introduced the new on Flight Simulator. This is not a Flight Simulator podcast or video,
No,
but they just introduced Scandinavia. So that should be interesting. But and they're getting ready to launch 2024. So that's a whole nother bag.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here's the thing that I always notice with a desktop, and I'm sure I'm curious to see if you've noticed a difference. I mean, it doesn't matter if you have a gaming laptop, mostly doesn't matter how like powerful it is. It's still with the exception of a few, it's still not the highest power processor you can get because there are thermal considerations and limitations with a laptop, right? And the desktop version of the processor and then the desktop version of the GPU are just going to be simply faster. Plus, you've got all that cooling. I mean, even if you're using Photoshop and things like that, that can take advantage of the GPU. You should have noticed that this a performance upgrade over anything you've used before.
So yeah, I mean, I can honestly say that I have never noticed any kind of stagger or hiccup or anything like that. I mean, like just when we were setting up Skippy before this podcast, the Lenovo 9i Yoga, the Yoga 9i was like bogging down. Like I don't know what to do with all this, camera stuff. What do you want? So like yeah, but you're right. When it comes to stuff like that, I haven't noticed a single hiccup aside from when we were podcasting with Daniel Robino and the whole computer just went ape shit.
I have a feeling that was a Windows issue rather than
that was probably a Windows issue. Yeah. Because it's not like the computer was like or anything like that. No, it was, it just the computer just decided to crap the bed is basically what it boils down to. And you're right. Almost definitely it was as much Microsoft, if not all Microsoft, rather than
as it usually is. I mean, we're not hating on Microsoft, but yeah.
No. I mean, you got to be doing something right if you're running that many computers in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like overall, what's the retail price for this?
So it's on the website. It's basically $2,000, but it's as with Lenovo. I mean, usually the price, the MSRP is not what you pay. It's like around $1,400 and something dollars, which to me that's a really good value for.
That is a really good value
for everything that you get with this tablet. I mean, with this tower.
Yeah, it's been a day,
if only.
But anyway, no, yeah. So it is a very good deal considering all the power that you get here. And so if you're building like, I mean, yes, you can get beginner gaming rigs cheaper, but I think this is probably a step. This is a step or two above like what you're going to get for a beginner,
absolutely.
For a beginner guy. And of course, like with desktops, that price is just for the desktop itself. That doesn't include the monitor. That doesn't include the ZAG keyboard that I've been using with the.
Did it come with the keyboard and mouse?
That doesn't. It does not. It did not.
Wow, that's interesting.
In
another life.
I don't remember.
I mean, it might not now. I honestly don't know. I mean, back in the day. Oh,
you know what? It does. It does. Come
I was going to say.
Mouse. I'm
that's
sorry.
Terrible.
I'm sorry.
Might be like the.
No.
Do they go the way of like smartphones with the power brick? Like, they probably have their own keyboard and mouse.
They probably have their own input. Well, they don't need it. No, actually, I think my son actually ended up stealing that mouse. So I think that's probably why I didn't notice. I don't know where the keyboard went though. Honestly, my son probably stole that too at some point. But
Yeah,
because
so
my son is obsessed with keyboards and mice. I do not know why. He
I
has
he's a man after
so
my own
many.
heart.
He has so many different, like, he's got more keyboards and mice than you have microphones. I mean, like, he's just anyway. That's a different conversation for another time. But yeah. So like overall, this is a pretty good value for what you get, assuming you can find it in the neighborhood of the $1,400,
Yeah. Like,
give or take.
I've noticed this model is actually for sale at Best Buy.
Oh yeah, okay.
Mhm.
So
So, I
and
mean,
I
the reason
will.
I say that is a lot of times when you get something from Lenovo, I've noticed, as like a review unit, it won't necessarily be like one of the fast shipping models, or it'll have like a different RAM configuration or a different storage configuration. But it seems like what you have is exactly what you can buy like directly from, like already configured on Lenovo's site or from like a third party retailer like a Best Buy. So this
Okay,
is
all
apples
right,
to
great.
apples. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. So overall, very impressed with this computer. And like I said, I haven't had a single stutter, whether I'm photoshopping, whether I'm editing podcasts, whether I mean I've edited several videos on this as well. And speaking of which, I really need to do that one video that I did about with the Google, with the made by Google thing with the one cable. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
really need to put that together. It's been a month, folks. But anyway, so yeah, overall, this is a pretty good value. I will put links to the best deals that I can find on this laptop in the show notes, and you can go ahead and pick one up. It'll be great. So, unless you had any final thoughts, Cliff, I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and wrap this up. That's going to do it for this episode of the that's going to do it for this review. Please consider subscribing to this channel if you enjoyed it by hitting that subscribe button. Smash that bell so you can be notified of new episodes and reviews as they drop. Do the kids still say smash that bell? I don't know. Also, be sure to like
We
this
do.
video. Yeah, we do. Also, be sure to like this video if you like us, if you like the computer, in fact, you know what? If you like anything, make sure you push the like button on this review
That's right.
because that's what YouTube likes. And if you want some early access, jump onto Patreon at patreon.com/benefit of the Doud. I'd like to thank co-host Cliff for all of his hard work behind the scenes, but most of all, and as always, I would like to thank you for watching and for giving us the benefit of the Doud.